Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life. And I got a message here from Stefan in my YouTube inbox. And he says, how do I keep myself from becoming a mini Tesla? And I think that he asks that because Tesla was a prolific inventor, did a lot with energy, and he worked with Einstein. And I seem to remember, I don't know this for a fact, but I seem to remember that some of his ideas were taken by other people. And I think that that's kind of what is being talked about here. And so Stefan says, my Asperger's keeps me from putting my ideas to work, which I can understand. For those of you that don't know what Asperger's is, I believe, and I could be corrected on this, but I believe it's similar to being autistic, and it is kind of in the same vein. People with Asperger's tend to see things as very black and white, can be higher functioning than people with autism, and it doesn't keep people from participating in life, but it makes things a bit more difficult. And so you have a very different way of thinking about things and looking at things, and typically people with Asperger's are very, very smart. I've never met a person with Asperger's that was dumb. Let me put it that way. So he says he feels like he's wasting his time because he has some ideas for the good of the internet and for himself. How do I go about finding a website developer? And more importantly, how do I keep him from walking away with my ideas? Patents don't really apply to website concepts, sadly. Thanks for reading this. Okay. And so, Stefan, here's the deal, is that honestly, you can't stop somebody from taking your idea. But what you can do is have a contract with them that says that there's confidentiality. And so, but that's really difficult. I mean, okay, so I've made websites, and there's two different methods on protecting our intellectual property rights. One is that you work with the same programmer that you feel very comfortable with and you have a good relationship with. And so that means typically using somebody local. And when you use somebody local, it's going to cost you a lot more because they don't do the same prices like you see on different websites where somebody's willing to work for $10-20 an hour on your website, and they're from India or Pakistan or Philippines, wherever. And I happen to know that workers from the Philippines, which are very smart, but they're in a geographical location that costs a lot less to live in, and programmers there can be $500 a month. That's 160 hours, maybe more, depending on, I don't know how much their culture, how much they actually work per day, or whether they do 40-hour weeks or not, but $500 a month for a full-time programmer working for you, which compared to in the US, somebody who's a really great programmer will cost you a minimum of about $100 an hour, if not $150 an hour for a superstar. And so I'm sure you can find cheaper, but I'm talking people that have a lot of experience and that really know what they're doing. And in many cases, I found that paying more for someone who's very experienced, that it took them less time to get the project done, and it came in around the same price. So, and they can innovate a little bit better. That's one route, which I'm guessing that probably you don't have a whole lot of money, because like one of my websites that we built, we literally spent $500,000 on programmers for it, programmers and web developers over a multiple year period. but it was literally $500,000. I was spending easily $10,000 a month for quite a long time on people to work on it. And so the other way is to compartmentalize. And so if you want to farm out to other people who are cheaper, then you take one person who will build you the framework and say, okay, here's the homepage or whatever, and another person that will build one of the specific tools within it, one of the specific portions of your idea, and take that portion and you've got to be able to explain to them the interconnectivity between the rest of the site and it, and how it talks to everything. And so you can think of it as compartments. Okay, so in car manufacturing, is it, do you just say, okay, here's my idea, here's my brain dump. You got to be able to put all this stuff in writing too, because it's very, very important to convey exactly what you need and want to your programmers, because they will do exactly what their interpretation is of what you've written. And so you've got to be very anal about that and very precise, very clear. And otherwise, it leaves it open to interpretation, and they will do whatever they think is best, which in some cases is what's best for you. In some cases, it's what's best for them. Which could be that, oh, let's just cut these corners right here because there's nothing mentioned about that. Yeah. So you could take the example of a car. Now, a car is not, all the pieces and parts are not manufactured in one place. They are built in many different places and then all come together on the assembly line and whatnot, and out comes a completed car. Now, you could use that theory, that method, to have several components built at by different people, and then you have one person that assembles all of them together and makes it work. That person also needs to be a programmer. They are going to see a lot of the code and everything, but make that your more trusted, higher paid person, and everybody else is doing the other components, and you can get the work done a lot cheaper. So that would be my suggestion. There's two different ways you can go about it. And for websites, the best protection is obfuscation, which is to make it so that nobody really knows what's going on behind the scenes and can't tell. And don't allow people access to the code that absolutely do not need it. And hopefully that will, do it for you. The other thing is that you could just be first to market with your idea. And by being first to market and being the best one, the first one out there, and then continuing to innovate and develop on top of it, you can stay ahead of the curve of any copycats. And there will be copycats. Even if you compartmentalize everything together and stuff, there will be other people that will see your stuff that will have had nothing to do with the development, but they'll say, wow, that's such a great idea. I want to do it myself. And they will. So, but they will just replicate it in their own version. And that will happen if you are successful. Stefan, I wish you much luck. Hopefully that helps. I'm Marky Dragon. Take care.